Alright, I'm back live again. A little sooner than I figured. Figured I'd get started on another job here. Looks like we're doing a park of some sort. It's another campaign. Got to basically get started with getting all this whole list of stuff cleaned up on the job site. Bunch of junk cars, old slabs of asphalt or concrete. Everything's going to get placed over here. I can't remember. Either load it out later on or it just disappears, but regardless, this is where we're going to stack everything. Let's see, what can I get to? I think I'm going to clear out what's closest to the pile first. That way it opens up some room for stacking some stuff over here without fighting right over the top of what's sitting here. Alright, we'll pull these pieces out of the ditch. Obviously still going to be a hole there, but we can track right over the top of that pretty easily. These are the broken sewer element pieces, I believe. Broken sewer element, yep. Now I think we'll work on those slabs. It's kind of like a puzzle. They're all for each individual one. Looks like we got some big tanks over there too. Where do those go? Back there. Those will be pretty easy to take care of. We'll track over and take care of these tanks quickly. Won't accept it back there, so we'll set this one here and just have to set the other one over the top of it. Okay, that's the last of those tanks. Now we get those slabs and some steel beams that are way out there across the job site. We'll have everything picked up. So we'll pick up this first piece and spin around. Basically looking at all those puzzle pieces, you're looking for the one that's a different shade of blue than the rest. Looks like the back right-hand corner is going to accept this piece. Get it vaguely lined up. Again, you don't have to, as long as you're close enough to it for it to turn green. That's really all they're looking for. I try and get them as close as I can. Looks like there's 2 of them that are highlighted for this piece, so we'll pick one a new one. Alright, a couple more slabs. Looks like this entire area in the center is all compacted. Obviously, I haven't been in here compacted. I just started the job, even though we're at 28% done. I'm not sure if they're simulating that maybe there was a building here prior to and that got dug up, and these are the concrete slabs that are left over from the slab, and that's why it's compacted. I'm not quite sure. Right here is that area. You can basically tell this stuff here looks like it's very, very hard packed versus this over here is just simulating that's kind of a loose soil. Rotating the cab and the tracks at the same time, so I'm not swinging that slab all over the place. Well, that's the last of those. We got 2 of these I-beams over here. Maybe we'll take a moment and get creative with it. Usually you got to hook onto these hooks. I've never really cared for the fact that in this game you can't just scoop something like this up and carry it with your bucket. The physics of the game really hate it, but we'll try it. Yeah, it's not liking it. We can get into the exterior and see how much I'm scooped under here, but it, oh, maybe? No. There it is. Now let's see if we can balance it there. It might jump around and do some weird stuff. It usually hates when you carry things versus hooking it like it's supposed to, but you can definitely still get under there. Gotta remember there's a hole somewhere there we dug those pieces out of. Maybe we already passed that. I think we did. Alright, we'll set this back down on the ground. We'll go after our final piece. We'll probably just hook this one. Make it simple. It was certainly fighting me, even though it looked fairly normal. When I went to unload it, it was I couldn't even move my curl, couldn't move the stick. Wasn't really wanting to boom up and down. I kind of lost all controls. I think it glitches things out. It's got us at 32% here on the park. Getting ready to place my last set of garbage. I was kind of scattered all over the job site here. And we'll advance to the next step, which is going to pay us $35,000 to move all that stuff around, and it got rid of it for us. So it seems we got to flatten these 3 areas out through here. I'm not sure what they mean by flatten. Assuming some of the material is going to... no. So I believe that red is going to be taken down. If we get out of the machine here, you can kind of see. You can't kneel down in the game enough to get a right angle on it, but it's basically there's high humps in there. So we are going to set the excavator to the side because I don't think we're going to be able to grade well enough with that to do what they're looking to have us do here, but... maybe we can take some of that material that's flattening off and we can fill in this hole as well. You can see right there where the dozer sits, how it's kind of sitting up on a hump. The outside edge is green, so they're kind of wanting you to take that hump down and make it all green. So we'll see how that goes. I think I'm going to start on the inside. We're going to strip right down the center. Of course, we're working in the nighttime. I don't have any rental machines yet, so I'm not worried about skipping my time other than the fact that I've got a loan out, so I'm going to get some interest payments here, but... able to really tell if it even charged me anything. Alright, so we'll drop the blade down just enough to touch the ground. And just slowly push this out. It seems that didn't help much. But it looks like we've got some green into these really low spots. So it might be asking us, instead of leveling it, to quite literally just cut these right down to nothing. They might have the subgrade already set. So we're going to try and do a full cut. I'm just going to, instead of leveling, I'm just dropping my blade 100% as far as it'll go. Track through the center again. Push everything right to one end of the circle. Back up and see if that changes anything. No, we're still in the red. What is going on? So we've got green here. And those spots seem to be even lower than where I am. I'm not sure, but I might have to cut further than what I cut. Maybe we'll run another strip down through. I guess we'll make a couple passes here and see if we might just be hard to cut through. I'm not sure. They give you such vague instructions on what they're asking you to do. Flatten the area could mean flatten the area in a low grade and a high grade. And obviously they're trying to point it out to us with the dots in that construction mode, but it still isn't really much of a dead giveaway. Whoops. Still a lot of red there. Green at the end, so let's jump out and go see what that green is. I wonder if I'm just now cutting into that hard enough to expose it. Do a little test dig with the excavator and see if maybe it's digging a little. Maybe we can dig through that better than we can level it. I'm not sure. So we'll take an area over here where it's obviously red. And that makes it green. So we're just not cutting hard enough with that dozer is basically all it is. So instead of messing around with it and making multiple cuts in the same area, I think I'm just going to get in and strip this all back with the excavator on each hole. I have got a dump truck. Guess we'll see how much material we load out here of these holes. Decide if it's worth loading out and getting paid for it. So I'm kind of going to center my machine here so I can reach each way as I walk backwards. We'll start right on the edge of this yellow line, kind of pull some of this material that I piled up with the dozer and get that out. I think once I remove a lot of this material that I push from one side to the other, this should go fairly quick. Trying to put everything on my left side so that way if I do decide to load this out, I'm not having to drive through the area that I just worked here. Even though you get it all dug out, if you drive a dump truck or loader or anything back into this hole after, you can definitely track material back into the hole. I guess if you get to the point where it's blue outlined and it shows completed, then it doesn't really matter because it's not going to backtrack you, but you can track dirt back into your hole. Pretty much got most of that. There's still a few high spots. Hardly enough to grab, so we'll set back here. See if we can pull a little bit more. Kind of just working my outside tooth there, right around that yellow line. Skimming the top. Now that we've got the big bulk of that, what I push with the dozer, we're down to just scraping what they originally intended to be scraped up, which isn't all that bad at all. Trying to get a few swipes in at a time here to get a full bucket, rather than swinging back to empty every partial bucket. Save a little bit of time and swing time. It's really hard to tell when you're only scraping this much off where you've already done, where you haven't. They don't really let you scrub the bottom of your bucket off on it so you can smooth it out and tell where you've been. It all just stays rough and animated, so you kind of got to keep referring back to the construction view, see where you've been, where you haven't been. I'm going to sneak over here onto this side and try and clean up this edge before I back too far down here. Really get in as close as I can to that yellow line, follow it close as I can. Sometimes if you even get just outside of it, you're doing all right, but try not to get too crazy with it. Got to get just enough of an angle on your bucket when you dig back in to continue to scoop that off. If you're at all teeth up, it won't let you penetrate through. You've got to have teeth down just at the right angle, and it pops through right there. And then you kind of just carry your teeth back, and you just graze on the top of it enough where you're gathering the material off top. I guess we'll set over and clean up where all that big pile of dirt is and clean up that edge and get that material back a little further away. Here we are at 62%, so making pretty good progress on it. But if you don't strive for 100% the first time, it always sucks coming back in, reworking what you've already done, tracking back on top of it. Should set that back far enough. Got a little bit of it still right here in the red that's creeping up on the edge. Right there's our grade post for the edge of it. Didn't even notice that. Guess we should probably scrape it back just a tad further. Try not to waste too much time here. There is no wasted time like going back and doing it a second time. Pretty well cleaned up that area. I think if we do miss anything, once we get it scraped down to a point, it shouldn't be all that bad to come back through with the dozer and just scrape off that last tiny little bit. I just, for whatever reason, don't think it had enough to scrape this off. Did mention earlier I don't have any rental equipment on this job. I did take a chance and bought a dump truck and the dozer. I had already owned this from just prior to the warehouse job. I think just starting the warehouse job, the last one I did, I had bought this JCB excavator, so now I own the excavator, the dozer, and the dump truck, so I can do most dirt work jobs with all equipment that I own. I don't think this job is going to require me to buy a whole lot of material for backfilling or anything, and I've already got all the job site stuff sitting over there outside the curb. Anything I'll need to buy for the job, so that's already done. And I've still got $127,000 left to play with, so I think I'll be doing all right this time. Just about back to the edge of the circle. Still got a little ways to go here, but I think this is the biggest of the three. You gotta try and work the outside edge out, nice clean cut. Get your border cut. Don't fill your bucket right to the max and pour a bunch of stuff outside of the line. Keep it clean. And we can come right back in on a second run here right next to it. Maybe grab one more. Oops, losing a little bit. That should pretty well catch us up, and we still got some hairy spots. Pretty well worked our way back here. I'm going to move that dozer, but I guess it's not close enough to really make a difference, so we'll keep going back here. I think because I've already scraped this with the dozer once, twice, a few times I think, I'm really not pulling much at all for material here. I think it'll be more apparent what we're digging when I start on one of those fresh piles over there. Probably pulling 6 inches total off. I just dozed most of it off to begin with. So it seems like we're doing minimal work here. 95%, so we shouldn't be too much longer here, and we'll have this couple of nice spots on the edge there, get some full buckets. Of course, I'm pouring some of it right back into my circle here, which I guess don't help much. We'll work our way back over there in a moment, but if we work that edge where I'm pouring stuff, we'll probably make quicker progress than anything. %. Let's see what we got over here. %. So there's one hole all leveled off. We'll get this one next. Same deal, just going to center myself over the... Ooh, this one's a little longer than I expected it to be, but we're going to center ourselves right over the top of it. And just work the material right out to that same inside edge of the job site. Easy to get to, don't have to track back through my hole. Kind of see the way that grade's set up to flatten. We're starting out, we're barely taking any material, and as we come into where we're sitting, we're taking quite a bit more and quite a bit more as we come in. Probably see the percentage go a little bit quicker here as we back up and get into these areas where we have more material to move. Starting to get a little dark, a little shadowy. Seem to get one more moment before nightfall where you can see what you're doing. Spend a lot of time working in the dark in this game. The shadows, it's 1 minute is 1 hour. And gives you 12 minutes of daylight, 12 minutes of dark. And in the daylight, you've got morning and night hours that are very shadowy. So you really don't have much more than a couple, 2-3 minutes a day, game day, where you've got proper lighting where you can actually see, like right now. At 2011 military time in the bottom left there, we will be going right into nighttime in just a moment. so it doesn't last long to get this good lighting. But we're making good progress here at 27%, a little over a quarter of the way done this circle. Making better progress as we get into the deeper spot of this. Getting a full bucket per swipe instead of having to go back through and keep picking material back up. Caught up on that pile. Hates to let you, usually in real life, you can reach right out and tap a pile. Kind of like that. Push it right over on the top and set your new dirt on it. Sometimes it lets you do it in this game. Sometimes it just stops your bucket dead in its tracks and won't let you move. But fine mess I've got going on. It took a few more minutes, I guess, than I thought, but we are going into the nighttime. So we'll kick our lights on, which actually shadows the light just a little bit better, where it almost makes it easier to see what you're working with. A little over halfway here at 52% on this dig. I think, thankfully, the last hole that I've got is probably the smallest one out of all of them, so as ungodly boring as this seems, this next one should go fairly quick. We'll move on to our next step, which I can't totally remember what that is, but I did view the job prior to starting this, and it looks like there's really not much to it. Dig this out. I think there might have been some gravel coming in, compaction, materials delivery, placing it, and then I think there's some like a gazebo maybe. I'll have to go back and review it in between steps here. Working on that 80% mark. 20% to go, and I am back in my tracks, pretty much sitting on the edge of the yellow line. Oops, getting caught up in my track there. Rookie mistake, rookie mistake. Yeah, we're set right up on the back of the line now, so we'll reach out a ways here and pull most of this in. I don't think we'll be too bad here to get the last 20%. Work this outside edge where our pile is. Isn't really much for material out there anyway. Whoa. Things are certainly more bouncy when you play on the simulator versus in real life. You set a 40,000-pound machine with a bucket down like that on the ground, you feel every bit of it. On here, you don't feel anything. It's just like piling air. You never feel much of anything. All right, we've got our last 10% we're working on here. Take a quick peek behind me here, make sure I'm not going to back into anything. Seems I got plenty of room. Always worth a double check every now and again. Got 2% left, and I gotta imagine, yeah, we got plenty of that 2% probably right here. $99. And 100. Let's go hit our last pile here. Not drive into that big hole we made. That will fill in anyway when we skip to the next step. And same deal per usual. Center myself in this hole. Pile it to the inside of the job site. Work myself from the furthest point back to the middle of the job, so I can walk my way back out of it and not be trapped. Although this is the smallest hole, I'm willing to bet it's got the most material in it. I try not to over mention it, but I am live on Twitch. Trying to get to the point of going live on YouTube. Right now I'm just trying to create a page. So I've got a YouTube page, CS24 Player, Digger, CS24 Digger. Search that and find all of these Twitch lives are in my videos. I post them hours after going live on Twitch. And then I've got a whole series of shorts that I've been messing around with, doing some video editing. Definitely a lot more material in this one, which I think is where you get the illusion that it'd be a little bit quicker. It's a smaller hole. It's not seeming so much quicker because every scoop, even from the edge, is it's a full bucket of material. I know I've had some people comment on past videos that there is a yellow Cat 349, which makes a lot quicker work of this, but I started a fresh game for all these lives. No cheat codes, no nothing crazy. It's not a developed game I'm playing on, so I'm only on my third or fourth job in. 127,000. I own this excavator, the dozer, and a dump truck. And I'm going to work my way to that excavator at some point, because that is my absolute favorite machine in the game. It's a Cat 349. Not just because it moves more material. I don't know, the reach, the way it operates, it could just be because I use it more often than any of the rest. Gotten comfortable with it, I guess. Well, I think as much material sitting on this pad, even though I'm halfway through it already, I'm going to sneak that dozer through and try and push a good chunk of this stuff right out of the way. Maybe get our percentage to climb up a bit quicker than it is. I'm going to start with just punching a hole right through the center. I've kind of already got enough here where I can set my blade down. We'll just slowly push some of this big chunk of it right off to the other side. Yeah, whoops. Out of body experience real quick. Set down and gently we'll wing it toward the center. Basically try and work that outside edge as well. Push that off. We can watch our percentage climb. We got some work lights on this too that might... Oh yeah, reverse lights. And we'll set one path to kind of split that windrow. Try and push it straight across. It's just a 47%. Not looking to 100% it necessarily with the dozer, but at the very least, push a good amount of that material off that was sitting on top. Yeah, 61%. That's making it go much quicker. We can try and work this edge here a bit tight. The blue fencing all the way around the job site, but snake it around, follow that yellow line with the outside of the blade, straighten it out, and come back and push that back there. And back into the morning hours. More quick windrows right here that we'll push out, and then I think we'll jump back in that excavator and kind of do a clean pass. And 77% is about all we're going to get with that dozer. Set it off here, basically work this machine right back out in the same area. Now we can see we still got some red in here, but we're going to be just peeling material off the top. Probably a little quicker than the fashion we were doing it before. Getting under my track again. Looks like the majority of it's all on this side, so we'll come over and start working this side a little bit more. Again, right in the shadows of the daylight. That's why I say nighttime sometimes is better when you got your headlight shining down. You kind of got to work with the shadows. Obviously, if you turn around and work this way, it's a little bit easier. But the sun setting behind us, that excavator could cast a shadow right where we'd be working. Boy, I keep getting that underneath my bucket. So I'm not really sure as if I saved myself much time by dozing that off or not. I guess I knew I was still going to have to come back through and scrape it all. At least in the 90th percentile here. I think some of the stuff on the edge here, probably accounting for some of it. Alright, 97%, so we really haven't got much here. I think, it's like right here where I'm sitting. Maybe I can sit over here to exit the pile easily and dig this last little bit and grab our last few percent. $98, $99, full bucket. One more scoop here and I've got it. I'm going to back out. Which way was I tracking? Nope, this way. Let's back our way out via our guidelines one more time. I think one reach right out through here will do it. And there's our 100%. So now we've got to rip this area. Which I guess might rip with an excavator bucket, but I've got the ripper teeth on the back of the dozer I bought, so we'll go ahead and use that. I guess it doesn't matter if we start at that end or if we start at that end. Plenty of room to drive past either way. So we'll set ourselves up on the edge. This ripper isn't quite as wide as the entire machine, but you can kind of figure if you get the last ripper on the yellow line, either way you've got to make multiple passes no matter how you do this. We're going to lower that ripper down. Once it hits bottom, we're ripping. We'll leave our dozer blade up. Just track our way down through. Try and keep a straight line. Hard to see. I think we're there. So we'll lift our ripper back up. And if you track back over the top of where you've already ripped, you will lose percentage. So you kind of got to set yourself off of it and back down. Set it back down and make one more pass. Kind of see where I tracked over the edge, the left side of that last one I did, and it rolls the material right back in. So we'll take this time and just run our track right across the top of that one we did before to re-rip it. Try and stay a little further away from it this time. So that puts us about 66% done, and we're about 80% done the square, which is kind of what I was saying, where you've got to make multiple passes when you do these rips. But we're going to set this one almost outside the yellow line, do a little extra ripping just to cover our bases. Let that drop down in. Cut another straight line right across here, and then we'll have to set over and do that small little entryway area, whatever that's going to be. Be able to track right over that one hole there, no problem if we do catch it. We'll start right here. See how close this gets us to the 100%, but it's obviously not going to 100% us. That should be most of our opening. Lacking about a couple feet there, it only puts us at 86%. So we go back into this and see you've got a bunch of red lines and a bunch of green That red is basically what you got to get rid of, so it's the deeper parts, it seems, which is where the ripper's laid. So we'll just going to jump back up in. We'll finish this little 2-foot section here. Bring our ripper back up. This time we'll start down here, and we're just going to kind of make passes back over the top of it. So you can see it's still bringing our percentage up, even though we've already passed over this once. But it's bringing our percentage up much slower than it was before. I'm just going to spin this thing right here in place and track back over this way so I don't track right back over where I just ripped, because it will fill it back in a little bit. I believe this should be our last little strip here, 99%. Let's get that 100 mark right there. We'll stop and bring our ripper back up. Get this dozer backed up off here, and we'll see what they're looking for next. So now we're looking at excavating an area. Seems it's over here. So we'll grab the excavator and see if we can walk back over there. Figure out how deep of a hole this is. Just going to dig a test hole basically and see how deep we're actually going to be digging. We're going to dig quite a bit of material out. I may end up bringing the dump truck over and loading some of this out. It's really not crazy deep, but I think I'll at least have enough to load out a truck once. It's not a huge amount of money, but it's enough to make up for my interest payment on the loan. $250,000 loan I took out. So we will at least load out a load of material here. believe this job pays out $4 million. If I don't end up needing a whole bunch of material, I think the cat excavator is going to be the next investment. Once you use it, you're kind of spoiled by it, how quick you can work with it, how far you can reach out, a lot more material. I'll go a little ways away from the truck to be reaching into the back of it, so we'll just quickly clean up this edge and scoop it into the center here where I can reach to it. Center ourselves back up closer to the truck here. Seems I am almost out of fuel. Trying to work as quick as I can here, really throwing the material around. Still trying to be somewhat precise and not smash into the truck body. I think I'm probably about full in there. I am. So we'll unload one truckload. Probably fill it one more time considering we're at 50%. assuming I can get that far without running out of fuel. I think I'm going to go ahead and end this live probably as soon as I run out of fuel or finish this hole, whatever comes up first. So I'm going to set over here again. Can't quite reach the truck when I'm over here. At least pilot back over toward the truck though. Continue to keep this edge clean. A solid 67% here, really making some decent time. Still not out of fuel. I have never ran a machine out of fuel on this game. I usually have a service truck on site. Like I say, I started a fresh game for all these lives in this page. Worked myself up to having the service truck yet, and I'm really not into fast traveling it to a gas station if I don't have to. Don't have any trucks or trailers to transport any of my equipment yet. This is basically all I got, so hoping I can finish up this last bit here. Got 25% to go, 26 theoretically. One scoop, 1%, so maybe 25 more scoops. I got 2% out of that one. 19th hour, so we're working on another day passing by here. And not quite full on the machine yet, on the dump truck rather. Tank is almost empty. Go to a gas station, fill up. Always keep an eye on your indicators. I am keeping an eye on it. I just don't care. Probably going to get to 90%. Some crazy thing. 98%, and I'll run out of fuel right at the end. Go ahead and empty the dump truck. I've now made 2 loads at just about $5,000 a piece, which more than pays for my interest payment on that loan. %. We've at least made it that far. We got 10% to go, and we've been out of fuel for quite some time here. Well, obviously not out of fuel, but very low. Pretty much down to the nitty gritty here. I don't have much material left in this hole. We're at 95%. 96. I'm trying to cut the outer edge right here. Last couple spots. 98%. So I think we're just a matter of cleaning up some edges. $98 still. Wow. I have never been this out of gas. Out of fuel. Let's see what we've got here. Whole bunch of red over there and a whole bunch on the back side. So we'll track right down in the hole, which probably screws that edge up. This is definitely a finishing touch here. 98, 99. And 100. Somehow managed to make it on fuel. Got a whole other area to excavate. Obviously not going to do it with the amount of fuel I get in here. I think I've going to go ahead and end this live. And we'll get the machine fueled up, fixed up, get everything all set back up, go live again, and we will we'll dig this hole out next time. Which looks like an extension off this, so good thing we didn't fill it in for any reason. I'm going to continue to pull that out. And start placing some components and unpacking some stuff, some concrete. remove a little more topsoil. We have some landscaping to do, which is going to be bringing in gravel and sand, and then greening, which is I got quite a few trees out front that need to be placed, and debriefing. So one more live on this job as a part two. We should be able to complete it in 2 parts. All right, we'll see you next time.